What is good, rookies? Welcome to an exciting video where we reveal our round zero team. Say that because there will most likely be changes after round zero, only given we have a couple of games in round zero due to Cyclone Alfred causing some disruption. But again, thoughts out to those in the affected areas. Please stay safe. Before we move forward, I do want to say a massive thank you to the Set Bounce boys. If you were around on Monday night, you would have seen the very first review crew stream. Now, this is going to be a regular Monday night stream with myself, Hive Room Fantasy, Supercoach God, and Big J from, of course, Set Bounce. Very exciting times ahead. First one, teething problems, a little bit rough, but sometimes the beautiful things need to be a bit polished. So, lots of good changes, lots of good improvements coming along with that. So for those that tuned in, thank you so much. We are almost at 250 subs. Excuse me. If you haven't subbed, hit that sub button before we get going. Give this video a like. And hey, if you are so inclined, hit that noti bell just to be advised whenever I do upload another video where we talk about my doppelganger. Now, who's my doppelganger? It's a great question. If you follow me on X, you probably would have seen a little comment or a little post I did a little while ago. And we're just going to go through the backline first because my doppelganger is there. This gives it away. I'm a Geelong Cats fan. Of course, we're talking about Mr. Stewart himself. With the round 3 bye now missing for Geelong and Brisbane, I need a fun pick. I need a pick that I can watch from not behind the couch, but with a bit of enjoyment. Being a Catters man as well, I want someone, not Nevitt, to really barrack. And given some recent comments by none other than Mr. Chris Scott, Mr. Flexibility, I am curious to see how this role progresses. He's priced at $5.21. Undervalued, in my opinion. Feel like he's a stronger candidate than Holmes, in my opinion. Why? Soft issue concerns with Holmes, disposal efficiency. Stewart is Stewart. He's tried and true. He gets after it. He's not afraid to go hard at the ball. And if he is getting mid-time minutes, as advised by Chris, along with Nevitt, he's going to get behind the ball a bit more and just be very influential. Now, he might cop a tag, but we've seen them rotate Holmes and Stewart between halfback and centre, which means just opportunity, in my opinion. So regardless of what changes are made, Stewart is staying in my team. I love the pick. We are twins, clearly. The headband is to signify Tommy Stewart. It's not white, I know, but we're going with the green theme here. It's also the only one that was laying around. But regardless, let's jump into our defensive line. So, top 3, we have Sheasel, Zorko, and Clark. Sheasel, I think, is a given. I have toyed with the idea of starting without Sheasel and really staying underneath that 600k mark for players. It just looks scary. Now, I'm happy to do that in the midfield because I think there are a lot of undervalued primos or fallen primos that look really, really good. However, with the defensive line, I don't think we really have that luxury. So, Sheasel, I think we've just seen enough. It's going to be scary if he starts off well and you don't have him in your team, considering his ownership. Then we also have Zorko. We have the piggy man himself. Easy fixture to start. Coleman's not in. We're really trying to capture those spike scores with this. And Zorko just looks healthy. Yes, he's 36. He's an old man. But if we're going to start him or have him in our team, I'd rather start him and potentially switch him if needed when maybe his role changes, when Coleman comes back, or if he's just gone out with injury because he's old. So I think Zorko is a bit of a pod pick as well. His ownership has risen given the news of the round 3 bye not being applicable to Geelong and Brisbane, but nonetheless, I still think he's a great starting pick. Now we have Clark as well. Durability is there. I think the role's there. Like, the role was always there. We're not necessarily worrying about the role. However, we are going to be watching the play style of Freo because they got told off for doing their little seagull kick-to-kicks in the back line. Ryan got told off. So we're hoping to see a little bit more faster movement, which means Clark is probably going to be their main man because he is usually, if not doing a kick out, is going to be the first receiver off that and distributor down the ground. So I think Clark's in for a good year. I think Supercoach wise, he's going to be very consistent as well. I've already spoken about Stewart. He's in our team. He ain't moving. And I'm fairly confident on the Perryman pick as well. We will see a bit more this weekend, which will be good. However, there actually isn't really concerns. We know he's got the role, which is what we've really locked him in for. Very curious to see what ceiling he might have or his floor. And only time will tell with that. And then we've got Patton. Patton is debuting in round 0 now, along with another rookie, Haley or something. I can't remember his name off the top of my head. We've not heard of him before. He's come out of the woodwork and gone, hey, I'm debuting. He is a mid and he is a bit cheap. But 2 debuts, Bice is not debuting. So a little bit concerning on that. You can't see it on the screen just because I want a cinematic effect with the reveal. I have Reed and Leak on the bench as well. Now, Leak will give us a loop in round 2 as well. Could be useful. Moving down, going into our midfields. You might have seen a preview on X if you saw the overlay screenshot and cared enough to look at the actual team in there. But Dunkley at M1. How do we feel? Last time I checked, he's at 1% ownership. And I love that. I want to take a bit of risk. Brayshaw just renewed his contract. Massive contract. Is he in for a good year? I think so. His role's not in question. He's always, the second cog in the machine there, along with Sarong. He's a bit cheaper. About 30k cheaper than Sarong. 30, 40k. I think Brayshaw's a safe pick. That I am uncertain about. The locks in this midfield are Dunkley, Dawson, and Oliver. Rookies will rotate potentially. I'm very confident on Sheldrick. Stardust, I'm not entirely sure on, simply because they will miss round 3 now, or round 4. They still have that bye. They're getting moved potentially to like a round 24 to play 2 games. It's some ridiculous situation. So his price isn't going to move along with everyone else now because they still have that early bye. So some considerations with that. But I think given the performance, I think he's still a lock. O'Driscoll, I am still chopping up between him and Foss from North Melbourne. That I will just make a last minute call on, I suppose. I need to look a little bit more into their VFL stats, a bit more preseason, and kind of see how we go. Now, on the bench, we do have St Kilda players. So we have Max Hall and we have Boxall, along with Camporelli, Lucas Camporelli from Carlton as well. Again, rookies are not as locked, but Dunkley, Oliver, and Dawson are in my team, and I don't think they'll be moving. M2 is currently up for grabs. It could be a Rosie, it could be a Richards, it could be... Who else is up there? Could be an LDU. There's some thinking, there's some plotting. So that will most likely change, or it may not. We'll see how we go. But that's the midfield. The rucks. Well, let's not. I mean, the forward line's probably pretty common anyway. But for the rucks, I'm going TDK and good old Nank the Tank. Now, why am I doing this? I want a pod pick. I want some really hard pods. Dunkley being one of them, Nank being the other. Like, they're solid pods. We're talking less than 5% ownership. Zorko and like Whitfield, again, close to that 10%. Dawson's now at 10%. Whitfield, I last checked, was at 13%. They are nearing commonality and not so much of a pod pick. So I want some pods to help take the risk a little bit and see how we go. Now, you could ask, Nank the Tank and TDK go up against each other. How's that going to work? Well, my theory, Nank is going to do well. For what reason? TDK actually gives up points. TDK is going to do well because he generates points around the ground, not just from rucking. He has an overall impact as a ruckman and gets involved and builds up other stat lines, not just hitouts. Nank is a tank. So I'm not too concerned because they kind of play to each other's favor. Nank will get some decent hitouts, hopefully, and TDK will do more around the ground and both give us some decent return, Supercoach-wise. And of course, we have Harry Boyd on the bench. The bench can always change, hence why I'm not showing it. The forward line, I'm sure this is pretty common. I feel like the forward line is going to be the most cookie cutter section of each team, just because we have some staples already. I've got the Horny Man in at F1, McRae at F2, and Sanders at F3. I needed to watch round 0 for Smith for Basilinka, and we're not getting that. Based on that alone, and not being able to see any different, I am fading him. I'm not convinced. I'd take the risk on Sanders. Daniel's a lock. Garcia, the role's there. Davidson, I think is Davidson. And then we have Stone and Johnson from Melbourne. Not sure about Johnson. That spot's up for grabs. And then we have Ashcroft in at flex. So let's just zoom out a bit and reflect on the team. So this is the overall team structure. Now, what are going to change? Well, the rucks are set. Rucks aren't going to change this opener round, so we can lock them in. Horn Francis is locked in. McRae's locked in. Daniel's locked in. Davidson's probably locked in. Stone's most likely locked in. Johnson's a miss. He could be anyone. Stewart is reported not to actually play. He's getting severely managed. So if you have Hewitt in your team, move him along. He's not debuting. He's not playing. So be warned. The St Kilda rookies are also up for grabs and moving. I think Cavarelli's going to stay there. I think he's fine. Just at that price, I don't see any other reason to not go him. But the other rookies that we could potentially look at in regards to the midfield, we have Foss, who could easily replace O'Driscoll. We have Angrove, who didn't actually spend too much time in the last practice match. It is rumoured that he did play some VFL beforehand. Who else we got? There's a few other options in there, but for the moment, these are kind of placeholders within the midfield. I'm pretty confident on the defensive rookies. I am not going to field more than one. I think every structure I've tried, fielding two is just scary, and I'd rather pay up in the back line, for at least the D1 to D3. I might need to go down to Roberts if he changes my mind, but that would just mean Stewart moves up to D3. And I'll potentially look for more value and upgrade maybe a Brayshaw to a Dacos, or I upgrade a Sanders to Rankin or something like that. So a few different options, but overall, I'm pretty happy with the structure. It's a little bit different, a little bit potty. Definitely got some value in there. Let me know what your thoughts are. Do you rate the Dunkley pick? Are you going more of the Neil side of things, paying up for Neil? That Brisbane run is just too juicy to ignore, hence why I have Zorko and Dunkley. Zorko is probably, I probably hold on to Dunkley. Zorko, I would only get rid of him if his scoring is impacted by Coleman or if he goes down or gets rested / managed. Otherwise, I think the team is looking pretty good. I'm pretty confident leading into this. But again, check in this time next week for our full final team review. And make sure you guys check in on next Monday night at the Centre Bounce channel for our Review Crew stream. With that all said, guys, I hope you enjoyed the doppelganger look. I'm excited for the footy season to start. Let me know if you have any questions regarding any players, any content you guys want to see. Let me know now before the season starts, because once the season starts, it's just going to be reviews and previews, price changes, trades, all that fun stuff that we are usually expecting once the season begins. So if there's any custom content you guys would love to see, do let me know. And I will see you guys in the next one.